But that'd just be kind of great, though. They just made episodes of Doctor Who, and they just never stopped, and it was always in production. And it was like, yeah, we'll make an episode. Let's take a couple weeks off, everybody. This one was really good. And then they just put them on TV whenever they wanted.
In no particular order. They just got these DVDs lying around of the episodes. I'm like, we'll throw one on. Let's just, you know what? Whatever we were planning on airing tonight, let's just screw it and we'll play some Doctor Who episodes. Just like, don't tell anyone. Just doesn't show up on TV Guide.
Yeah, or the Radio Times, which is their version of that.
Just no warning. That'd actually be kind of cool, like having, it would be a good way to get viewership up if you said that you were airing a bunch of episodes, but you didn't say when, and people would just have to watch television constantly in order to catch them.
Yeah, they would never be able to stop. It would be like Wall-E.
Yeah.
They'd just become blobs sitting there.
Exactly.
Sedentary blobs.
Exactly. They'd have hover chairs. It would be a very good way to sort of spur the development of hover chairs.
Which is pretty much the main goal of the BBC.
Right. I mean, well, what else would they do?
I'm Tom Dickinson.
And I'm Louis Midas.
And this is The Cloister Room,
a podcast about Doctor Who and other things.
Do you want to talk about State of Decay?
Sure.
I just watched that today.
I did as well.
Oh, okay. So it's fresh.
It is fresh.
Fresh as a decayed thing.
Precisely.
So did you enjoy State of Decay?
I did, actually. Quite a bit.
Yeah, I like it a lot, too. I actually didn't like it the first time I watched it very much, but I liked it this time. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it was exactly. I can't help but continually look to these episodes with sort of an eye of, okay, so they're trying to make the show more serious now. It was kind of funny and almost, I guess I want to say, unexpected to see the bits with K9, which were really kind of lighthearted and humorous, especially towards the end where he helps to lead them to victory, and they were initially incredulous that this little robot dog could help them.
Well, what have you seen from the season before this?
Almost nothing at all.
Oh, okay. Well, because this is certainly a lot more serious than the season before it.
And I'm willing to think that. I mean, because I don't know what came before it, so I don't know how serious they were. But it's just, and certainly I don't want them to drop all the funny bits.
But just overall, there's kind of a heavy tone to it.
There sort of is, yeah.
But I think it really does work here, especially because it's like evil vampire people.
Yeah, that's heavy. But yeah, it all seemed it's I don't know how to describe it. It just really held my attention very well, I guess. I don't know what qualities it were that did that, but also I'm still kind of holding out for this, but I don't dislike Adric.
Yeah, I don't really dislike him that much either. I think it's kind of, a lot of people do dislike him, so it's kind of fun to hurl abuse at the character.
Right.
I think it's just that a lot of fans resent the presence of, a kid in Doctor Who. I don't really feel the same way, though, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He seems fine to me.
He's kind of evil here.
He kind of is.
Well, sort of the original idea of this Adric character was that he was going to be, the term I always hear thrown around is this artful dodger kind of guy. So okay. This sly and crafty, mischievous thief that would be, well, not thief specifically, but kind of a rascal and not entirely trustworthy.
Okay.
Which was completely abandoned, but this was actually the first story that was written and I believe it was the first story that was written and filmed, because the previous story was filmed after this. So I don't know about writing, but at the very least filmed. So this was a little closer to what they wanted the character to be at first.
Huh. Interesting.
Then they changed their mind, I guess.
Yeah.
They wanted to be a boy genius with a mathematical excellence star.
Pretty awesome change, you know? Maybe they're just trying to promote math.
One thing I do hate about Adric, though, is his costume. I really don't like his costume at all. It's really stupid looking, always.
Yeah, I think that it's a bit much. I guess I would have never really... Yeah, it's kind of dumb.
Yeah, but I think he certainly comes off well in this story. I think Romana does as well.
Yes.
And I believe that, like, during the production of this story, she and Tom Baker, sorry, not Romana, but Lala Ward, who plays Romana,
right.
And Tom Baker were barely speaking to one another during the fight. But still, they have good on-screen chemistry, so it's fun to watch them together.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that, I really don't have anything that I disliked about this story.
I think the special effects for the Great One in particular,
well,
a little bit poorly realized.
Yeah, I do appreciate the fact that they saved showing the Great One right until the end, because when they're at their worst, I think it's when they have a bad sort of design for a monster and they just don't seem to care and they just want to show it as much as possible. This seemed like kind of a thing where, like, hey, you know... Then again, though, it was kind of built up, so I don't really... there's two sides to every coin.
They could have just not shown anything.
They could have.
But I think other than that, a lot of the design in the episode was really good and well done, because a lot of it had less to do with special effects and more to do with, like, costume drama kind of thing, sort of thing the BBC has always done well. Yeah. So it was nifty.
Yeah. One thing I do have to say is that it seems like in this season, more than any other season of classic Doctor Who that I've watched, they seem to be showing a lot of shots of, or not a lot of, but they've been showing shots of the TARDIS in flight, which didn't seem to appear very much in many of the episodes I'd seen prior to this. Classic episodes, that is.
Yeah, they do it. They don't do it all the time, but they do it, I mean, significant amount of the time from what I've seen. Again, I haven't seen everything, but I even in the new series, I don't like the TARDIS in flight. I just think I just think it's conceptually wrong.
Okay.
Well, the TARDIS is supposed to, you know, disappear and then reappear.
Right. Well.
So the TARDIS in flight through the time vortex, that makes some amount of sense. The TARDIS in flight through, you know, normal space, whenever we see that, I always find that kind of, as I said, conceptually wrong. Like, that's not how the TARDIS is supposed to work, in my opinion.
That's interesting, because, you know, I've never really been bothered by that, because in my opinion, I think that, you know, I sort of envision it kind of like, well, first of all, I could think of reasons why maybe that would happen. I mean, it could be that, like, the time vortex is like, I don't know, an interstate highway, and like, you know, just normal space is kind of like some back road, you know, in the middle of nowhere. And maybe he just, you know, maybe every now and again the Doctor just wants to drop off of the interstate highway just so that he can sort of get his bearings, or, you know, get some gas or something, or snacks. I don't know.
I'm sure that someone's cooked up some, like, incredibly well thought out and complicated reason of, like, why the TARDIS will sometimes be in normal space and why it will sometimes not. But, you know, it just seems to me that, like, the whole general idea of the TARDIS, as established in the very first episode, is that it doesn't actually fly.
So that whole scene in The Runaway Bride, where it's like a highway chase scene, that's just the height of annoyance for you.
Actually, no, because I think that there's a very clear reason why the Doctor would want to use it in that particular way for that particular scene.
Okay.
Because it wouldn't make sense to have the TARDIS disappear and reappear, because that wouldn't help him get Donna in the way he wants to. The only way for him to be able to do that is to fly down the highway in that way. So I can accept this is something the TARDIS can do. I mean, that's something I can kind of accept. But, like, that is not a... I prefer to think of that as, like, a rare exception and not something that, the TARDIS just does. Like, this is what's happening when the TARDIS is going from one place to the other.
Okay, I can see that. I mean, like, I wouldn't think that it does this all the time. Like, I wouldn't think that it's just kind of chilling out, sort of spinning around in normal space whenever it is transitioning from one location to the next. I just think that that's... I mean, I want to believe that that's something that the Doctor can, on occasion, choose to do, but I don't really know.
Yeah, like if he wants to have Amy flying around in space in her night dress or whatever, then he can definitely do that. I mean, I'm not going to tell him not to do what he wants to do with his own TARDIS. I mean...
Right.
That's really not my place.
Right, of course not.
I think the fact that there's not really all that much to say about this episode, I think the people who made the DVD kind of agree with me, because whenever I watch these stories, I always watch the DVD extras just, for background and for fun. And the DVD extras tend to relate, in this case, they relate to the concept of blood as like what it means in culture and like how there are cultures that eat it and whatnot. And then there's one about like vampires in fiction. And these are both not really, they don't really get at anything within this story as far as I'm concerned.
Right, they sound kind of generic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously there are things in the story that do relate to that, and I mean, both of the featurettes, I thought they were kind of interesting. They just aren't really illuminating to the story.
Right. So yeah, I guess we shouldn't feel bad that there's not a lot we can say.
The next one, I think we're gonna have a lot to say about the next one, though.
Oh really? Which one's that?
Warrior's Gate.
Okay.
It's a very weird one.
Okay.
And I really like it. Or at least I remember really liking it from last time I watched it, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, they got, like, lion people in it.
Lion people?
Yeah, lion people.
So, like, the Thundercats?
Yes. The Thundercats are... It's a Thundercats crossover.
Okay, then.
I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but a thing that is allegedly true about this season is that even though there's not really like one big overarching story, all of the stories are connected by a recurring theme of entropy.
Okay. I don't think we've talked about this, but maybe.
I don't think we have.
Okay.
I think that's a little stronger in this story than in a lot of the others, because it's not really easy to see, for me, how these stories relate to the theme of entropy.
Right. Well, certainly this one has in its title the word decay, so there's that.
Yeah, and that kind of relates to societal entropy, I guess.
Right. Yeah, sure.
I don't know. But entropy is like... I feel like entropy... It's a real concept in science, obviously, and I feel like this is another one of those instances where concepts in science have been thrown into Doctor Who in a way that Christopher Bidmead, the script editor, clearly thinks is meaningful and interesting, but isn't.
Right.
Kind of like evolution in Full Circle.
Right.
Just kind of meaningless and doesn't make any sense. Or tachyons, or whatever was in Meglos.
Cacti?
Yeah, cacti.
Yeah, no. Maybe he was just really, really wise and could see things no one else could.
I guess. He must have been. Christopher Bidmead. Speaking of Meglos, I was listening to an interview with Tom Baker on the Big Finish podcast.
Oh, yeah?
Recently they had a convention called Big Finish Day, and Tom Baker was there, and he was taking questions from the audience and whatnot. And someone asked him a question about Meglos, and he had no idea what they were talking about. He had no memory of Meglos.
Well, not really worth remembering, probably.
There are things about it that are, I don't know. It's the one with the cactus.
Yeah, you'd think that would be kind of hard to forget, actually. But then again, Tom Baker was the Doctor for what, 7 seasons? That's kind of...
Yeah.
That could be taxing on one's memory.
I get the feeling he doesn't really care that much about Doctor Who stories. Like, I wouldn't say he doesn't care about Doctor Who, but I don't think he cares a lot about the particulars. I think he cares more about like who the Doctor is and how that relates to his life, and how he feels like he has this responsibility to be like a role model for children or something. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, you really can't fault him for that. He's just looking at the big picture.
I guess.